Hi there, this is Nancy Reynolds, Stampin' with Netsy, and welcome to the International Crafters Video Hop. I am pleased to be participating again this month, and I can hardly wait to show you my Sale-A-Bration creation. This is right over here. It's a card. You're in my thoughts. I have sadly this month needed several sympathy cards, so that is what this is going to be. But I have the Sale-A-Bration brochure, and I wanted to show you which products I'm using. Isn't it fun to earn free products when you order? I love it. I am using the softly stippled 12 by 12 or 30.5 by 30.5 centimeter designer series paper. It is very pretty, and I've paired that. Oh, this is free with a $50 order. That's in the United States. My prices are United States. I know they're different around the world, and so get with your demonstrator and who invited you. And talk with them for the prices. But in the United States, the Softly Sophisticated bundle is one of the more, is the $200 set. And it's the stamp set. Oh, and the prettiest embossing folder you'd ever want to see. It is lovely. So, put that aside. Give you a close-up of the bundle, the Softly Sophisticated stamp set, and the Stampin' Cut and Emboss Softly Sophisticated 3D embossing folder. And this is a great bundle. I am absolutely thrilled with it. I also borrowed from the Thoughtful Expressions die set. I took the largest die to cut out my focal piece. And one of the things that I do when I get something new and I want to start playing with it is I write all the information down that I need, and then I stamp the stamps. I used here Parakeet Party and Orchid Oasis. And then here is the embossing folder. I think you can see it in there. It is dark and it's harder to see on camera. And then here's the softly stippled designer series paper. Coordinating colors: Calypso Coral, Lost Lagoon, Calypso Coral, Lost Lagoon, Pebbled Path, Pool Party, and Wild Wheat. And then here are the 6 different patterns. You get 2 of each. And those are in the Sale-A-Bration catalog on page 8. The Softly Sophisticated bundle is on page 14. So once I get that done, then I start playing. So today's card, we're going to use some Memento ink, Wild Wheat ink, and Pool Party ink. I'll just set those up there for the moment. I've got some basic white to fit my die. I've already cut one out of the gold foil. And I have a piece of gold foil as one of my layers. Now, to tell you the truth, I wasn't thinking when I was doing this, or I would have cut this piece out of the middle here. And that would have been less wasteful. I'm going to cut this out in just a moment. We have a piece for the inside that's 4 by 5.5 inches. And I normally have all my centimeter things handy. So let's go ahead and do that. Cardstock. Basic white, 4 inches by 11 inches. 10.5 by 29.7 centimeters. It's just scored and folded in half, or it will be soon. Then our gold layer is 4 1/8 by 5 3/8 inches, or 10.3 by 14.7 centimeters, because I like just a little bit of a border, just a little gold border. This is the paper, the softly stippled paper. Oh my goodness. It's so hard to remember all of these things. And it is in the embossing folder. And I will be running that through in just a moment. And I think we're going to use these are the neutrals, adhesive backed sequins. I'm using gold. I pulled that from the annual catalog. I also pulled the satin edged ribbon in Very Vanilla and Gold. So you could substitute Very Vanilla for the cardstock, but this looks like it's white. So I stuck with the white. I'll be using some dimensionals, and let's get started. The first thing I wanted to do is give you just a little tip or a little hint on getting your edges lined up for folding your card. You know, sometimes it's just a little bit off when you go to fold it and burnish it. So I just take and line up in the corner of my paper trimmer and then burnish from here. And then I've got a very nicely folded card that's properly burnished and nice and even. So that was one. Let's go ahead and set that aside for a second. I'm not going to pull my large stamp and emboss machine over, but I am using the sandwich is layer 1, the layer 4, always making sure that the folded edge of your embossing folder goes in first. Otherwise it gets way too much pressure and it can break and crack, or crack and break. I'll be right back. Sorry about not having that done first, but I wanted to show you how it went in. And it's very subtle, the embossing. Let's see. Let me get my take your pick tool. My nails, I have a little trouble getting these started. But let me pull it right up and see if we can get that. So you can see the pattern. And it really is very pretty, and I think it adds a lot to the card. So we're done with our embossing folder. We need to cut our white piece. So here's my little stamp cut and emboss machine. I really like it. Normally I would do some of the, let's say, where did it go? I would do some of the stamping before running it through, but we're going to live dangerously and cut it first today. See how nicely that just goes through? If you find that your little mini moves around, you can always put down a silicone mat, and that really helps stabilize it. I found on this glass mat that I don't have a problem with it. So, that out of the way. And now let's do a little stamping. Even though it's photopolymer, and we always say to put a cushion under it, if the stamp is smaller, I have found it's okay on the glass mat, I am moving that, to just go ahead and stamp. That's the back side, this is the front side. And I want to get our sentiment, actually, You're in My Thoughts is exactly what I wanted to use. So on my memento pad, I sometimes like to take the ink to the stamp because then I can see what's inked up. I also tend not to make a big mess. So You're in My Thoughts is going right here. Give it a second there to absorb the ink. I love this script. To me, that is one of the prettiest fonts that we've got. Then on here, I'm going to do in the colors in my paper are Pool Party. I think that's what it might be Lost Lagoon, but I'm using Pool Party. and this is wild wheat. So I'm doing my stems in wild wheat. And I will say that I probably am not the very best at lining the flowers up over the top of it. I will try, but I think it's okay because this is handmade, not Hallmark. So sometimes a little imperfection is not a bad thing. Okay, trying to get these off of the card so you can see it. I apologize. It's been an interesting day up here in Bellingham, Washington. I'm in the corner of the United States, north of Seattle, by almost 100 miles. Okay, we'll stand up and see if that helps. Because they're photopolymer, you can see through them pretty easily. Okay, let's hope we got that. Well, that's not too bad. Actually, I think that's better than my first one. We have our flowers, little flower bush, and I want to put that with the gold under it. But as you can see, they're the exact same size. So the trick to that, getting that little edge, is to cut this in half. Just get your snips out and trim it. Then I'm going to turn this over on my silicone mat. I don't think this is going to be a messy job. It was not messy when I did it earlier. I'm going to just take a little Tombow, put it on the white, and line this up so that my sides are even, and I've got a little gold at the top. The nice thing about the Tombow glue is it gives you wiggle room. And if you're doing something that's a little bit fussy, wiggle room is a good thing. To the other side. I think that's pretty good. Once you've got it lined up where you want it, you can give it a little pat down. And I'm going to set it aside so it can finish drying while we assemble the other part of our card. I did the same thing with my glue. I should have just left that top off. I actually keep my glue in a little holder. It keeps it upside down, and it really doesn't leak too badly, so it could stay open the whole time. It's printed on one of those 3D printers, which I find fascinating because I have no idea why they work or how they work. But I appreciate what people make with them. Then we're going to go ahead and do the same. Glue down and I'm making this layer flat because I'm going to use dimensionals for our focal point. So here we are. We'll put some dimensionals on here. And you know, dimensionals, the whole entire sheet is good. So I suggest and recommend just doing a little trimming when you get down to the end. And we'll put one on this end and one on that end. Because we don't really want any sagging. As a matter of fact, I might give it a little extra right there and a little extra right here. No sagging. And really, one layer popped up shouldn't be a problem with the post office. Let's see. We'll put this right in the middle. And I didn't bring over my extra strips of Designer Series paper. What I did was I cut 2 strips. Let's see if I can find them. Here they are. In the holders for the dies that the dies come in, I use them for my little strips. I'm going to cut 2, this is our pattern, 1/2-inch pieces. And it doesn't really matter that they're not going the right direction, because it's a very little strip and you can't really tell. 2 1/2-inch strips. I'm going to put one at the top, maybe this way. So you just turn them until it looks like it's sort of at the top. It's a little short, but that's okay. I now remember that I cut off some to put on the envelope. Because I believe that if you have a pretty outside of your card, you need to have a pretty inside. And the party shouldn't end there. It should go all the way to the envelope. So there we are. I am going to put this on using my Seal Plus. I find, and maybe I'm heavy-handed with the glue, that's possible, that the glue shows through. And I don't like that look. I don't want to see a little glue squiggle on through my cardstock. So, plain inside, lots of room for me to write, which is important. As long as I have this piece of cardstock, I'm just going to do it the quickest way possible. Just going to put a little strip there. On my original, and I will do that on this one, I just won't do it while we're on the camera. But I will take the embossing folder and I will run it through the machine, the cut and stamp and emboss machine, like this, so that the flap is pretty. But I will do that in a little bit. It's going to look like this. Piece of DSP on the front and the pretty embossing on the flap. I really like that embossing. Next is ribbon. And if you are a wonderful bow tire, go for it. I am not, especially on camera. So I use a bow jig, which is just 2 nails and a piece of wood. I think my favorite and most used one, I think they're about 1 inch apart. Let's check. No, I'd say they're more closer to 1.5 inches. Just going to take this one and tie a knot in the back. Kind of even it out, make sure it's in the center. Pull that off, and there's my bow. Easy, simple. Even I can do it. This gets a glue dot on the back. Let's see. So this is not a hard card to make. So this is something that you might just kind of keep in the back of your head as a quick and easy when you need that sympathy card immediately, if not sooner. And then I just put my little bow at the bottom of my flowers, making sure, that is just a little bit long. So trim that one a little bit. This one is fine. Last thing to do for our card is another little embellishment. It just doesn't have quite enough bling. So we're going to put on these flat, it has adhesive backed sequins in a little triangle formation, keeping in mind the Fibonacci principle. Odd numbers are best. Odd prime numbers even better. Very pleasing to the eye. So there we are. Our card is almost done because this is one of my very favorite products in the whole catalog. Wink of Stella. A little shake. And I am going to brighten up our flowers with a little Wink of Stella. Just gives it a little shimmer, and I think flowers deserve to shimmer. I did not do it on this one, so I will do it now. If you do this too soon after doing your stamping, it will sometimes run the colors a little bit, which would have been okay in this case. So there we are. I now have 2 cards. Well, as soon as I get the envelope done, I have 2 cards. Getting stuff out of the way here. Ready for when I need them. I hope you've enjoyed the video and the ideas and my chatting away. Anyway, until I see you again, I hope you enjoyed the rest of the video hop. Be sure to visit everybody. Everyone's got such great ideas. I mean, it amazes me the creativity of my friends. So until next time, may I say, happy crafting. Bye-bye.